Hi, I'm Caroline, a full-time teacher living in London who has spent many years taking advantage of school holidays to explore the globe.
Okay, we're all good.
Whilst I like to think that I've not neglected travel within the UK, there are definitely pockets I'm yet to explore. As luck would have had it, back in 2019, long before the word pandemic was regularly used in our vocabulary, I planned a summer 2020 road trip around the Scottish Highlands and Islands. In this series, I'll be joined in parts by my friends Ollie and Emily, that's them waving at the drone as I fumble around with the controls, and my friends Jay and Jenny, who are definitely not shy around the camera, and my other half Andy. Today I kick things off with a bang and undertake a short afternoon hike in Glencoe before taking on the epic beast that is Ben Nevis, the UK's highest mountain.
Good afternoon and welcome to what is a slightly cloudy and slightly rainy and kind of cold Scotland. Last night we drove up north just so we were south of the Scottish border, so that this morning we didn't have quite so far to go. We stopped off at a few places along the way, predominantly up alongside one of the lochs in the Loch Lomond in Trossachs National Park for a viewpoint and some really beautiful waterfalls that were actually a lot more impressive than what I was expecting for them to be. And we've kept on driving up to now Glencoe, which is where I am right now, and we are about to start the Lost Valley hike. It's not supposed to be too long. I think it's only about 4 kilometers, but it's supposed to be quite steep and quite scrambly as well, and we need to be quite careful with how we go on this particular hike. It's been a while since we've been hiking and the weather isn't really playing to our favour, but hopefully the rain will hold off because the drizzle has stopped for now, and we'll just see how this hike goes and how we get on. I don't even think we're halfway up to the Lost Valley yet, but this hike has been pretty relentless. Just up, up, up. You can probably see behind me the bottom of the valley. I'm not too sure if you can see the car parks there in the background. The jacket has had to come off because I'm getting incredibly hot and sweaty, and it's still up, up, up after that. So if I just turn the camera around, and that gives you a little bit of an idea as to how much further we still have to go. So onwards and upwards. So we've made it up to the waterfalls behind me, and I definitely know better than to try and record something actually up there because you can't hear anything except for the running water. And just looking around, the research that I did on the Lost Valley hike, and some travel vloggers who I absolutely love, Adam and Catherine at The Adventures of A+K, had introduced me to it through their blog. Just looking around, nothing seems to look like what my research told me. So we got out our map and we had a look, and we realised that we've not just done the Lost Valley hike, we have done a hike that I have no idea what it's called. I have no idea how far we've walked. My friends who I'm with seem to think that it was much longer than 2 kilometers out. So we are drawing the conclusion that we've definitely done a completely different hike. It is not the Lost Valley, but all the same, it's been absolutely stunning. Just gushing waterfalls everywhere. We've seen wildlife, so we've seen deer, we've seen a frog, I almost stood on one, and it's just a really, really beautiful hike, even in the coldness of Scotland with the low clouds. In fact, if anything, I think that the low clouds kind of add something to it. It's like super gloomy, which I think really adds to, I suppose, the history of Glencoe, and that's something that I'm probably going to tell you guys a little bit more about the further down we go. The hike that we're coming back down from is set within Glencoe, and this area has had the name of the Weeping Glen. Perhaps for the wrong reasons, people have tried to romanticise it, but the reality is that that name actually comes from a massacre in the late 1600s. King William finally came into power in 1692, and a lot of the Highlanders who lived around here were anti the new king. And what King William ended up doing is he tried to call a truce with the heads of the clans, and in doing so the heads of each of the clans would need to pay, and there was a deadline that was given. It was the 1st of January in 1692. The head of the MacDonald clan supposedly was quite troublesome. They would often cause problems. The head of that clan was late in getting the payment. He'd gone to the wrong place, and then of course throughout the winter had to trudge through all of the mud and landscapes such as this. And the King William, he wanted to make an example out of the MacDonalds. They sent their troops and armies to the households of the MacDonalds. And in those days, those troops would be housed by the locals. So the people who were sent to kill the MacDonalds were actually living in their houses. On the 13th of February, 1692, they were supposed to kill the MacDonald clan. But of course, some of the troops who'd been staying with these families, where they got to know them and understand that these were actually really quite nice people, they decided that they didn't want to have to kill the people who had been so hospitable to them, and so had warned them of what was going to happen. And so on the 13th of February in 1692, lots of the MacDonald clan then fled to Glencoe, and they were going up the hillsides, such as the one that we've hiked today. And obviously I'm out here today hiking for pleasure and leisure and to see the beautiful countryside and explore the waterfalls. It was quite hard going up, and it worries me that if I had to flee up hills like this in order to be able to save my life, would I actually be able to get up there quick enough if there were troops who were set out to murder me? And so this glen does have quite a sad past to it, where some of the families and some of the other households who weren't given a heads up and weren't given a warning, they were less fortunate, and a massacre did happen here and people were murdered, and it just has this very eerie sense to it. And I think that the weather today has really, I don't know, helped sort of hone in that there's a history in this place, and it's not the nicest, but it's good for us to know about it, and it's good for us to learn about it. Good morning and welcome to our second day here in Scotland. We've woken up and it's super rainy, and today is our only full day that we've got here in Fort William. We were supposed to be hiking Ben Nevis, so we've come to the visitor centre. Ben Nevis, for those of you who don't know, is Great Britain's highest mountain, and the visitor centre is saying that we can have a go at hiking it. We've got the things that we need, like an ordnance survey map and a compass, but they were saying that we might just want to go up to the halfway lake where it plateaus out and then decide what we want to do from there, because they don't seem to think that the visibility is going to be great from there up. And so we're going to have a go. We'll just see how it goes. If it's starting to get really miserable because we're absolutely soaked from the rain, we might decide to turn back at the halfway point. We might even decide to turn back before then. But they were saying that there's been some days where the weather started off similar to this and it's lightened up, but then there's also been some days when the weather started off similar to this and then it has full on snowed. So I think we're just going to play it by ear and see how far we get. told that we were about a kilometre now from the halfway point, but apparently that halfway point isn't actually truly halfway between the bottom and the top. It's starting to get really, really hot. We've actually got some blue skies up above me. I think behind me it's still a little bit on the cloudy side, but we've definitely got blue skies. The sun is peeking through every now and again. So I have donned quite a few of my layers. I've gotten rid of those rain trousers. I guess you get what you pay for. We bought a pair of rather cheap ones off of Amazon. They're not breathable at all, so taking those off, put them back in my bag. Taking off the rain mac as well, get that back out if it starts raining, but fingers crossed that by taking it off it's going to keep the weather nice and bright and onwards and upwards to the halfway point lake that isn't actually halfway. Okay, this walk is starting to get a little bit on the brutal side. I think we're just coming around the bend where the next thing that then happens is we do one more switch back up to the lake. Oh, but just get a look at the views behind me. We've got this huge gushing stream just down there. I cannot believe though that we're not even halfway there. It just feels like we're going up and up and up. We have, however, had our first glimpse of Ben Nevis, because when you first start the hike, it is in fact a different hill, mountain, I'm not entirely sure, that you are going up and that you're looking at. But it seems quite a way, and the top is definitely shrouded in cloud. But I'm determined, so long as the weather does not turn into something like a lightning storm, at which point there is no way I'm continuing. I'm definitely turning around and going back, and it doesn't start snowing. Other than that, I think if I've come this far, I'm going to do this. Okay, we have made it to the halfway lake, and oh, that last stretch to get onto this almost plateau was killing my legs. This is truly exhausting. If I just turn around and you can see what it is that we still need to do. So all the way up that. The clouds have set in again, it's quite chilly, so I'm starting to layer back up again. Oh no, the sun's coming out now. I think the weather's definitely better than what it was in the parking lot. It was rainy and horrible, but at least the sun is out a little bit, so we're gonna go up and see if we can make it to the top of Ben Nevis. Okay, starting on the switchbacks going up Ben Nevis, and it has gotten freezing. I think we just stopped for a quick sandwich lunch, and I think once the blood stopped pumping from hiking up the mountain, we've gotten incredibly chilly with obviously the drop in temperature as we've come up the mountain. You can probably see behind me the mountain path that we have been coming up, and then if I just turn around and you can start to get an idea as to where we need to go. All seems to be shrouded in clouds, so I think it's just going to be chilly all the way up now. I've got a few more bits and pieces in my bag to layer up if needs be, but I'm just going at the moment with my fleece and my rain mac. Okay, so we've just had to cross the waterfall that is behind me at the moment. Full disclaimer, I don't exactly have the best of hiking shoes for, I would say, British hiking. I think I've ended up doing far more hiking either on the continent in the summer or over in the United States. And my shoes are definitely not waterproof. However, I've managed to get across that waterfall crossing with relative success. I've not managed to get my feet wet so far, thinking that could be quite dangerous up on the top where it's supposed to be about 4 degrees up there at the moment. So that was a little bit of success, but I am starting to think that maybe I need to invest in a pair of proper waterproof hiking boots now. I'm feeling absolutely cream crackered, but our devices are telling us that we are now at the 1,000 metre point, which means we don't have too much further to go, but my legs are killing me at this point. So hopefully we get up in one piece and that the weather doesn't get worse than what it is at the moment. And into the cloud we go. Almost at the top, and it's so high up. We're actually on snow, and it's the very end of July, and this snow is still not melted, which just seems crazy to me. But I think we've got maybe about 50 to 100 meters left until we get to the top. We've gotten really lucky. We are so close to the top, and the cloud has just broken up over there. We've got the most beautiful view of the valley beneath.
Hiking to the top of Ben Nevis was an amazing achievement, but it barely scratches the surface of what the Scottish Highlands and Islands have to offer. Join me in this Scotland series as I hike my way through some of the most stunning areas on the Isle of Skye and in the Assynt region. I'll be trying some of the local delicacies, both edible,
very calorific I'm sure, but that is delightful.
And despite not really being a drinker, if a region I visit is well known for its alcohol, then I'll usually make an exception.
It's still very making me feel like a dragon that wants to breathe fire through my nose. Okay.
As well as making a bit of a fool of myself, I'll be chasing after waterfalls, discovering beautiful beaches, and going in search of wildlife both on land and at sea. I'll also be finding ways to teach myself about the history of the Isle of Lewis, immersing myself in some of the most epic landscapes I personally think that the UK has to offer, and not forgetting some pretty special locations featured in some rather well-known blockbuster movies. If you've not done so already, be sure to hit that subscribe button so that you can join me in my Scottish adventures.